Hello, I'm so happy and grateful that you're here with me right now. I have something that I put together that I'd like to present to you if you or you know someone having a difficult time with emotions, especially right now with what's going on. We're right during the time of the pandemic, and a lot of people are having different emotions just come up, some out of the blue, some because of the circumstances, and they can get really heavy and difficult to navigate through. So I have something that I would like to share with you. And this was originally a free Zoom class, but I'm putting it here on YouTube as so you can watch it anytime you want. Let's begin. I'm just going to share screen here, and I would like to introduce myself. My name is Seth Michael. I am a psychic medium, usually do readings, and I've been doing them for 29 years. My passion and intent is to assist others in reaching their higher selves and honing in on their individual strengths. We also have a movie that I'm in with my friends about psychic medium topics, and that is called All Around Us. In order to get a DVD or download or streaming, this download and streaming is only $10 right now, and that is available at allaroundus.com, where you can also see a trailer. We also have a paranormal team called White Light Paranormal Insight. We assist local people having difficulties with possible hauntings, and we go in and we try to resolve the issues whenever possible. This is brought to you by the Vision Collective and myself. Vision Collective LLC, we're a group of people that some of us are psychic mediums and channelers and energy healers, and we all have the intent of helping others, empowering people, and expanding spiritual awareness. We do this by doing classes and coming soon, retreats. We do local classes, but we also have some online, and if you go to their Facebook page, you'll find a class on there for tools for distress, brought to you by a lot of different instructors. So today I'm going to cover tools for emotional distress, and I'll explain why. It's due to my experience. I had a lot of difficulties emotionally and spiritually growing up. Way back in childhood, I had overwhelming emotions. And then when I was growing up, I felt very empty, misunderstood, not knowing what to do with this overload of intense emotions. It was very fiery, and I was all over the place much of the time. So spiritually, I didn't have boundaries. I believe that I could connect with spirits, and I believe I was having them around me, but I didn't have boundaries and really didn't know what to do to protect myself from that very well. And I do equate that with not being able to have clear direction on what to do with my emotions, because that kind of fits hand in hand. And then another spiritual challenge was that I believe I had spiritual attachments. So before we go any further, I also want to say you might hear a whine or a roar in the background. That isn't my computer. I'm working on getting that fixed, but I really wanted to get this out to you now. So hopefully you can just ignore that if at all it bothers you. I apologize for that. And then I found classes because I prayed for a long time, and I finally found something that helped me. People would tell me to shape up, just be positive, just change everything, change your attitude, but they wouldn't tell me how until I found these series of classes called dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. It means balance. So balancing the emotions, and it's best of some cognitive therapies along with Eastern philosophy. And I found tools that help me get through anything now. And those are the ones that I want to present to you today. Some other things I learned is and how to regulate my emotions, how to keep them more even keel than they were before, how to stay in the here and now, and knowing how important that is now, that every minute, second, millisecond is a gift. We'll never have another moment exactly like it ever again. To accept reality doesn't mean I have to like reality. It's just I'm seeing it for how it is. And look at things non-judgmentally. The other result was I used to be a deep well of sadness. I had so much intensity. And now I still have passion and I still have some intensity. That's still part of my personality, but I do have depression, clinical depression, and I'm able to manage that more than I was before. Like I said, tools to manage any situation. And the spiritual results were I felt automatically protected. I didn't have to keep thinking about putting a bubble around me. Bubble, bubble, bubble. I didn't have to think about it. Increased natural abilities. I was connecting with people very quickly again, but it was more clear than it's ever been. Higher vibration and frequency, that's often talked about. Those terms are used in the metaphysical community a lot. And really, if you think about it, a lower vibration would be those kinds of friends, or I was this way a long time ago. I'd be very draining on people and tell them my problems, and I wouldn't accept really much advice. I wasn't getting the exact suggestions I needed, I guess, but I also was willful. I wasn't open to changing that either. So that was another element in it. And then I found it easier to untangle other people's emotions, because we're going to go into a concept of being an empath, and that some people pick up on other people's emotions. New tracks, neurotransmitters. That's what I was told, that we can make new neurotransmitters in our brain. So if my brain keeps going to the world is I can't make it. I don't belong here. I'm not for this world, but having that sadness and that pulling me down kind of feeling, then my new thinking would be, I do belong here. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm exactly where I need to be. So that goes there first now. It's just like cross-country skiing when you're first in new powder and you're trying to make the tracks. It's more effort, more thought. But when when the tracks are laid, the thinking just automatically goes in that. So it's without much effort anymore, just automatically. Here's some important information, that this is a personal journey. Don't stop here. There's tons of information, tons of different therapies, classes, all kinds of things on what to do with our emotions. Use what works, modify, or just what doesn't. So if you find a mindful skill that I present to you today to be helpful, but not in the way that's presented, then please do make it your own. Keep trying different things and make them your own. That's exactly what I was talking about. Go ahead and take screenshots if you want as we go along too, for notes. And then what I'm going to cover is the state of the state, what's going on now, tools for overwhelming emotions, tools for emotional distress, empath topic, tools for empathic connections. So right now, we have this current situation going on that causes a lot of different people to have a lot of different experiences, losing jobs, not knowing if they're going to go back to their jobs, businesses, how are we going to pay our rent, that kind of thing brings on many emotions. And then daily things are happening on top of that. Cars break down, appliances break down, pets get sick, people pass away, all during this time. So that just adds on. So a lot of people are having a lot of different emotions at once too. But the emotions that seem to be ranging right now is worry, fear, panic, sadness, and anger. And there's a lot of people going through grieving for how life used to be. Plus, some people could be picking up on other people's emotions. And some people are feeling guilty for feeling the emotions they have because they know that other people might have it worse than them. So right there, I want to address that one. That one is good for to use a tool that I'll present later. Also is self-talk, gentle self-talk, compassionate self-talk. Like, yes, other people do have it worse. And I do have a right to the feelings that I'm feeling. These are just coming up from deep. And that is me trying to get through my current situation. So this could create a whirlwind of emotions. And sometimes it could lead to ruminating on the same thoughts that are keeping us stuck in the same vibratory level or emotional energy level. Emotions, just the state of emotions, like a tailspin going around and around. Here's some other signs of emotional distress: eating too much, too little, sleeping too much or too little, just not being able to sleep, withdraw, isolating, not wanting any contact, feeling hopelessness, helplessness, depression flaring, some obsessive compulsive behaviors, drinking, what have you. Sudden personality change, easily irritated, self-care goes out the window, don't want to take a shower, don't want to do anything, don't want to eat healthy. Headache could be from stress or this head pressure. Stomach could be from stress also. And what we're going to talk about is areas in the solar plexus. Could be also empathic feelings, something going on, just too much. Anyway, here are some tools for emotional distress. First of all, I learned that it's important to have willingness to practice something different. It's important to be open to trying and doing something different than we did before to create different results. One good technique is to try to stop ourselves when we're doing the tailspin or the rumination or staying stuck in the same hamster wheel. Stop. Big stop sign, flash it in your mind. Or just remind yourself, wait a minute, just stop for a second. Let's notice some things. What is my body doing? Is my stomach tight? Muscles tight in my shoulders? Hands might be, palms might be sweaty. Head going crazy. Just notice things on what's going on with your body. Label the emotions if possible. Sometimes it's not possible or easy at the time. And then here's an important question: do I need to solve this right now? And then you can go to distracting, self-soothing techniques, mindfulness, and then solve later if possible. And sometimes things just resolve themselves. The other top step to do is validation. Not everybody's going to validate our feelings. Like, I understand what you're going through. I understand you're feeling this anger, and you do have a right to that anger. All that validation we have to do ourselves a lot of the times. So it's accepting our feelings without judgment. Not saying that we're stupid for feeling angry or weak for feeling sadness. That's taking those judgments out of there and just saying, I'm feeling anger or I'm feeling sadness. Sitting with the emotions is not easy, but that's a very helpful thing once we get through it, without reacting to them. Just letting them be. Before you call a friend and start screaming at them, before any reaction, it's really good just to be. And like I said, it's uncomfortable, and that would be a validation with yourself. Like, I am going to sit with these emotions. They're not comfortable. And accepting how we feel in the moment, you have a right to feel what you do and to remind yourself of that. These are messages from deep. It's important not to tell ourselves how we should feel or shouldn't feel. Like, I shouldn't feel angry. And that can create more emotions because you got your primary, let's say you were angry, primary emotion, and then you're upset with yourself for feeling angry. So that's a secondary emotion, maybe rage on top of that, and then sadness for feeling everything that you do and you don't know what to do, and that could just create piles of them, layers of emotions. Comfort yourself the way a compassionate friend would, and that's where gentle self-talk comes in. Like, hey, you got this. It's okay to feel what we're feeling right now. Here's some tips from the Empath Survival Guide by Dr. Judith Orloff, and this helps when you're feeling other people's emotions and or your own. To use conscious breathing, she says it helps expel tension and gets oxygen to your brain for clarity. Develop a witness state. You are larger than your emotions. I am not this emotion. And that's another important thing I learned. We are not our emotions. We're experiencing them. We're having them. But it is not a telltale sign of who we are, that we are what we're feeling. Engage in positive self-talk. This will pass. I will find the best way to handle this. And we normally do once we get through the emotions. Here's a series of distraction techniques that I'm going to go through that seems to help me a lot getting out of my head. It could be these examples. There's puzzles, books, artwork, crafts. Think of things that can really put your mind into things you have to really focus on. Gaming, running in place, taking a walk if you can, putting on some music while you're doing that. Or sometimes we just really need to stop all of the madness in our head and maybe grab an ice cube. And that will bring us back into the present moment, into the sensations that we're feeling. So just really paying attention to how what's going on with your hand while you're holding this ice cube and what's going on with your body. Some really other helpful techniques, and we're getting into the mindfulness. It's grounding exercises. This is very helpful in the middle of an anxiety or panic attack. It's naming 5 things in your head or out loud that you see. 4 things that you touch, and how do they feel? What do they feel like? 3 things you hear, 2 things you can smell if possible, and 1 thing to taste if you have that availability. That's getting out of our heads. And then here is a really good technique I also learned in my classes that I took. Music is amazing. And it's great for validating because you can pick a song that matches exactly what you're feeling. If you're feeling the depth of sadness, you may want to get a song called Black. Anything that just makes you go, yes, that's exactly what's going on with me right now. And then the next song would be one that has a little bit lighter mood. I wouldn't go to finger snapping and toe tapping yet, but just one a little bit lighter. And then you keep repeating that until your mood has shifted and your mind is more clear. And sometimes when those techniques don't work, we need something that's going to soothe us. So self-soothing techniques, learning to do this on our own you can do it with your 5 senses, and it can be anything soothing to touch, like a stuffed animal, your dog, your cat, any pet that you have. Even a fish, you can put your finger in the fish tank. You can a blankie, just a blanket. We call them blankies around here, and something to hear. So they could be music, meditation, guided meditation. It could be a soothing audio book, something to see. So think of pictures that don't have people in it that are going to give you some sour feelings or sadness or anything like that. Just things that really bring you to a happy place. And it could be pictures of strangers, if that helps, or puppies or kittens or chicks or whatever. Chicks, like the chickens chicks. Something to taste. Mints, tea. They say sour candy, but I don't think that's very soothing. Anything that like pudding, chocolate cake, in comfort food, something to smell. So you could do perfume, candles, essential oils, anything like that. So what I learned this technique to be called is the stress tolerance technique, and helping others, reaching out when we're at our worst and we reach out, that can really shift our emotions big time, because we see and we feel what the other people have felt, or what how their appreciation is. And even if they don't give us anything back, we do it anonymously. It's you just knowing that you gave and you did what you could from your heart, not even necessarily getting any kudos from anybody else, just ourselves. And then I learned something about making a comfort box. You could just take an ordinary shoe box and put paper, construction paper on it, colors. I have seagulls and a seagull feather. Squirrel on there meant something to me. Deer, just things that are soothing. So inside it has a Blue Day book, so I can read it. So it's something to see. Gets me out of my head for a minute. There is a piece of my mom's blanket in there. She meant tons to me, so I have a couple of things of hers in there that makes me feel comforted. And pudding is in there, the kind that you don't have to refrigerate. They have all kinds of, there's all kinds of different comfort foods you can get to stick in there. Hot chocolate, pictures in there of things that just make me feel, soothed and comforted. So that, and you could put a CD in there, DVD, like whatever you want for yourself that you want to grab when you're having a hard time. Essential oils is something you can add in there too. Inhale lavender or other scents to calm yourself. Or you could just place your hand over your heart, and that can help with a reminder of love throughout your body. When I was petting my dog one day, I just started feeling this love, and it came out, and it felt like it came out of my heart chakra, my heart. And then it just trailed down throughout my body and out of my hand. And I thought, well, maybe this is what healers do. Maybe this is the energy that comes through them. But I just call it like spiritual love. Spiritual love that is not a romantic love. It's beyond that. It's unconditional and warm, and it's a really awesome feeling. If you can get that in yourself, it's amazing protection spiritually too. So what we'd be doing is shifting emotions, and we go to, say, for example, frustration or whatever it is we're going through, and we can shift that to appreciation. And these are some steps we can take that we just talked about. The key to all this too is doing it mindfully. Mindfulness is not necessarily sitting down for 15 minutes doing nothing. That is a technique, and Buddhist monks do it. All they do is breathe for hours. Breathe and focus on their breath, and focus on whatever it is they're focusing on at the moment. It could be a chant, it could be just one thought, it could be a no mind meditation. But there's more that you can do with mindfulness. And that means being present, being in the present moment. Because every time that we're not being mindful and we're out in our thoughts or emotions, deeply into them, we could be missing parts of our life. And it's just really amazing for the spirit, body, and mind. And I can attest to that. Here's ways to practice it daily. Like Thich Nhat Hanh, Buddhist monk, he talks a lot about mindfulness. And he talked about doing dishes right in the middle of a war. And when you do the dishes, you just do the dishes. You're feeling the water temperature. You're describing all of this in your mind. I'm feeling the soap, the suds, noticing they look like this. I'm feeling the texture of the plate. It looks like this. It sounds like this when I put it down. The water's making a sloshy sound. Like everything that you're going through, you really put yourself into. Cooking is really great for that because there's so many sights and sounds going on and smells. cleaning, vacuuming, listening to an audiobook, anything you're doing, you probably will notice your mind is going to wander, and that's okay. That's just part of it, because you're going to start thinking about things we have to do, maybe doubts like this is not going to work, or worry of the future. So it's just lassoing it back. Here's a little video that I have on mindfulness. Hopefully this works.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car, thinking you've done nothing. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.
Excellent. Okay. So here's another concept that I learned. It called radical acceptance. It's also known as reality acceptance. You don't have to like or agree with the situation. It's just seeing it for how it is, like an aerial view, just the facts, and that's a good time to practice non-judgment. It's accepting all emotions also without judgment. So here's a little practice, because our minds, well, not everybody, but I'll talk for myself. My mind can go in a judgmental stance when I'm feeling something, or if somebody else presents me with a feeling, my mind might sometimes automatically go to, well, that I don't want to, well, that doesn't sound right, or I can't think of anything right now, but it's something judgmental. I don't do it as much anymore because we had a lot of practices of objects, of just describing objects, and that started getting our thinking out of the way of having our own interpretations placed on emotions. So we would be sticking to the facts. We can describe an object in terms of color, texture, sight, or sound, but we need not to make interpretations. For example, this object is magnificent or ugly. It just is an object. So here, let me show you an example. And I suggest you try this with a couple of objects, just quietly in your head or aloud if you like. Take this example here. I was taught to say something like this. Here is a picture of what appears to be is two cylinder-shaped objects with black line in the middle coming up with the triangle-shaped light, appears to be light. These appear to be candles, white. There is a little fuzzy, it's out of focus in the background. So you see what I'm getting at? You're just describing things with the facts. And then when we're used to doing that, our minds will just go to, hey, I'm angry. Here's some more effective skills. Becoming aware of our emotion rather than becoming the emotion. And that's very important. It's like becoming a detective, like, this seems like anger. It appears to be anger. What's going on right now? Exactly. What's going on in the body? What's going on with my mind right now? What am I thinking? Where are my thoughts going? Gently challenge negative thinking. So if you're thinking, well, this is the end of the world, it's over, or I'm never going to get through this, then it's like, but look at all the things we did get through. Let's look at my life and let's go through some accomplishments and hard times that I did come out fine from, and say that this could be the same exact thing that's going to happen, that I'm going to come out fine. Compassionate self, and that's bringing in the compassionate self-talk, like, gosh, that's hard to read. Gosh, you're something really doing really well. You're doing really well. And then here is something that when you're ready to take action and you're not reacting, then you've come through the emotion, you've done all your skills, your tools, you're an even keel, ready to act, to make sure that we're doing it in a wise mind way. That would be the combination of emotion and logic. So an emotional mind, some people are just, I'm a more emotional thinker. My mind goes to more emotions. But then there are times I'll just be able to think in a rational mind where it'll go into just logic. And some people are just more existing in that part of their brains. So this is a matter of taking both into account in the smack in the middle, and that brings us more to intuitive thinking and living mindfully. All right, now let's move into the empath stuff. What if it's not just your emotions that you're feeling? Some people are describing that they feel pretty calm about their situation. They know what's going to happen. Their jobs are coming back. They do have enough money. They're feeling okay, but they're getting these waves of sadness and they can't explain from where or why. Or some people have layers. They just feel it on top of one after another, feeling their own emotions with what's going on. They might be picking up on other people that are living with them, social media friends, and possibly the whole world. One explanation could be mirror neurons. If somebody falls and they hurt their knee, then another person might feel that their knee is hurt even though they didn't fall. It's a group of brain cells responsible for compassion. Another concept is that there's a theory that our heads and hearts give off electromagnetic fields, and some people are susceptible and open to feeling that, to picking up on that, and they would feel emotions as their own. And just think about the whole world right now, just buzzing with all kinds of different emotions and things going on. It's pretty much the whole world that's going through what we're going through. Here's another video, real short one.
It's not just emotions. Thoughts, consciousness is just bioelectricity. So bioelectricity can hop onto the field and easily permeate throughout someone else's field. Really, you want to look at it like everyone is a separate Wi-Fi hub. And there is this invisible cloud somewhere in another dimension aside from 3D, where all of our thoughts lie. Most people aren't aware of this because they're operating in their ordinary awareness, and a lot of people have been asleep for a very long time, but times are changing.
Times are changing. There seems to be some sort of shift going on where people are feeling other people's emotions, or they believe they are. I believe it can happen. And it's a holy shift. And we believe a lot of things started to shift in 2012. And a lot of us in our community were feeling like something big was going to happen, but we weren't sure what. So that was interesting. That was interesting too. But it is definitely changing. Times are definitely different and getting to be more different. Dictionary definition of empath is chiefly in science fiction, a person with the paranormal ability to apprehend the mental or emotional state of another individual. Right, guys? There. There's a universal meaning of empath, the ability to sense and feel the emotions of others as if they were your own, and absorb the energy from various sources, because it could be picking up from something that you touch, something in an antique store, or something like that. Basically, we're big sponges. Right, Bob? That's why Bob's so crazy. Here's another way to look at it. Here is a iceberg, and here is what an empath sees. Actually feels. This is what an empath feels. And if we're using it too much and we're getting too much going on with our own emotions and other people's, it can get really foggy, feel really drained, feel like isolating, and just plain overload. And here's something interesting that I notice. It's a split between the human experience and emotions and also feeling the spirit self, higher self, that voice that knows everything's going to be okay, then knows that we've got it. For example, if I'm feeling extreme anger over something, like, here's a really practical example. Let's say I lost my job, but I have in the past. I've lost jobs, and I feel sadness. I feel lost. I feel like, rejection and everything that goes along with losing jobs. And then way deep below that, or above that, however you want to view that, is a voice, my voice, saying, hey, now there's more opportunities, and I'm going to get the right one. There's more opportunities for the right one. And it helps us be more on a platform of emotion, like, okay, I'm going to feel my emotion, but I'm also knowing that this is going to pass, that I am going to find something. I feel it. I know it. It's connecting with the higher self, even during emotion. So another way to say, when we're talking about psychic empath, is, or clear sentient. So it would be, or clear empath, clear emotions, feeling, sensing. Some people will sense, I sense that person's angry, and they're feeling something. They're feeling this like on edge feeling, and they are equating that to possible anger, whereas some people would feel right out anger, exactly how the other person is feeling if they were to ask them and describe it to them. Another way to look at it is if you focus on the solar plexus right here. This is how I feel it is. It's a blown open hole. And we're just absorbing all this energy, all these emotions. And here's another way to look at it. Our sensors are going off, and our tentacles, these tentacles come out of our solar plexus and latch onto people and their emotions. Sometimes it's spirits and their emotions. And we have other people, friends, social media kind of thing I was explaining, and the whole world. It's just all too much going on until we start reining things in, pulling it in, back into ourselves, maybe bubbling up. And then things start to feel a little bit more manageable, and we can hear our angels, our you know, if you believe in God, Jesus, like whoever your spiritual go-tos are, and the higher self, that voice that I was talking about that knows that we got this, that we know even though we're going through a very difficult time, we are going to make it through, and it's helping our soul grow. And it might be for the next challenge that we'll be able to prevail over it because of what we're going through now. I get lost in my thought there for a second, but let's go into the tools for the empaths. So sorting emotions is the number one most difficult thing. Which is mine and which is theirs? Simply just asking ourselves sometimes, is the emotion coming from me? See, I don't have a trigger. There's nothing happening that could bring me to that emotion. It just all of a sudden came on, this deep sadness. I don't think it's my depression. It very well could be from someone else. And then you can ask around if people are close to you, if you get an idea who that might be. If it's in the room, somebody's in the room, that would be easier. But sometimes I think we pick up on friends that we don't even know who it is. We're just picking up on something from somebody. Ask for a symbol when it's not your emotion. Some people could see like a star pop in their mind, or a snowball, or anything that you designate or just pops in your mind. You could imagine a cord from you to another person or people, and imagine it being cut or burned. I prefer the burning imagery because it singes and it won't reattach, but some people prefer the cutting, which is fine too. And somebody volunteered what they say that helps them. They say, whoever or whatever is attached to me, I'm cutting the cord and taking my energy back. And then if it isn't your emotion, you can just imagine it sending it away from you with love. Putting love around this, I'm sending it back to the person, whoever. Because us taking on their emotions isn't helping them lighten the load. We're just sharing the load. So it's best to release that if we can. Personal energy and energy field shielding. Around our physical body, there's a layer of our aura that's devoted to your interface with your environment. So this bubble would help protect that in letting just certain things into your own personal space for how big or small as you want it. If you make it too big, you start getting into other people's stuff, I think. For me, I rein it in more. And the same person that volunteered what they said about the cutting, they also say, when they do the bubble, they say, nothing can get through this white light. This is my space and my energy. And you can use white light, gold, violet is the highest vibrational one you can get. Like Violet from The Incredibles. See how she doesn't have it too far from her body. And she's got a couple layers of colors in there. Another technique that's helpful for people is imagining a door closing on your solar plexus or a light turning off. A light switch, just bam, off, bam. Here's what's interesting is that I feel like me being an empath, I'm a natural Velcro. Things will just stick onto me. And unless I make that different, I change that, which I have much better now. But if you look at it microscopically, it's just hang on to this stuff. It's best to maybe change that imagery into slippery slope or a nonstick pan, or that we're made of the way we have a cover of Teflon, and things can just bounce off of us. So for a friend is talking to us and really, expressing their emotions, and we start feeling what they're feeling, we're picking up on this, we're starting to be right there with them. It might be time to do a visualization like, okay, I'm just going to let this slide off me. I'm just going to let this be there. This is their stuff, and I'm not going to get in the way of their lessons. So it's boundaries are important. So this is basically boundaries too. Some people believe in protection and grounding stones. This could be for spiritual purposes, or you're just not feeling like yourself, you're not feeling grounded, you can grab something. Black tourmaline. This also could help with negative energies, entities that I keep some by my bed and on my doorknob hanging. Hematite. It's a great grounding stone to grab. Obsidian, black obsidian, and then we also have smoky quartz, black agate. If you're really having a hard time and you're just not able to shake the emotions, you might want to picture a violet flame around you because that illuminates boundaries. So if we're talking about spirits that you're maybe picking up on emotions, that can really help. My guides taught me that, and that works really well. Or a golden sphere. So you're just in that bubble again, but it could be a golden color. Here's some meditation examples. These are very short meditations you can just do in your head in the moment. Let's say you're in a crowded store. Right now, this is a dream for empaths because we can only have so many people in stores right now. So that part doesn't bother me at all. But when it's a lot more, I do get automatic anxiety. So I imagine I'm underwater and having a breathing apparatus and doing 4x4 breathing. In through my nose for 4, hold my breath for 4, count, and release for the count of 4. And then when the thoughts come back, or if I'm freaking out, if that thought comes, I'll just say, oh, there's that thought, I'm freaking out. Just go and buy like a fish. And here is an excerpt from the Empath Survival Guide called the Jaguar Meditation. In a calm meditative state from your deepest heart, call on the spirit of the jaguar to protect you. Feel her presence enter. Then visualize this gorgeous, powerful creature patrolling your energy field, encircling it, protecting you, keeping out intruders or any negative forces that want to get through. Picture what the jaguar looks like, his or her beautiful, fierce, loving eyes, sleek body, the graceful, purposeful way the jaguar moves. Feel secure in the circle of the jaguar's protection. And here's another one. Imagine that love is flowing towards you like water or passing on to you like a gentle wind. Whether you can actually feel this love or not, keep imagining it. That is flowing toward you and into you. And salt baths. When I used to do readings for 50, 60 people at once, I would come home with a lot of drained energy. Too much energy and depleted all at the same time. It's hard to explain, but it wasn't not too much that helped, except when I would take salt baths or shower with salt, and it could be a non-processed sea salt, or like I said, non-processed, just plain salt. If you have just plain that would work, sea salts. It really seems to clear the energy field off and makes us feel so much better. Earthing, if you can, go outside with your bare feet. Smudging, if you have sage, that helps. I do that every time before a reading, and it doesn't hurt to do it after readings or when you're talking to a friend that seems to pull down your energy a little bit. You might want to, if you're starting to feel what they were talking about, or you're starting to feel the emotions that they expressed, then you can try this. I do it from the top down. Some people do it from the top, I do it from the bottom up. Some people do it from the top. They'll do their crown chakra and they'll go down. I start from the bottom of my feet, real heavy on my feet, go up real heavy on my solar plexus, all the way around my body, smoke. Look at the smoke, make sure you have something under it so it catches the ashes. And then waving the smoke under your arms, around you, around your head, and heavy on the crown chakra. So heavy under the feet, solar plexus, sometimes, the throat or the heart chakra you want to get. And then you can, maybe open a window and just release. And for me, it feels like a whole all over body massage. Sound vibrations, very good, like healing, singing bowls, the vibration of bells, mantras, om. That could be very, very calming. Meditation music or just music. We actually do have a meditation available. It is sound healing guided meditation by Karen Frazier, who's part of the Vision Collective. And how you can find that is go on to author Karen Frazier, FRAZIER.com. And that will have a list of her different meditations that she has. Spirituality, praying, that helps too. Praying to be released from other people's emotions, or just to have even help with your own. I'm a huge prayer person. It seems to work for me. And it's different than meditating. Meditating is more like listening. So it's good to have a combination of both, where maybe just take a guided meditation, and they have so many different ones on YouTube right now for free. Call to spirit helpers. People, use Jesus as a go-to, or different ascended masters, Holy Spirit, God, angels, totem animals, grandma and grandpa, whoever you are comfortable with calling on to help you get through something, that can help too. Because I don't think we're supposed to do this alone. And then it's our higher self that we can also rely on, that we were talking about earlier. So here's a meditation I have on YouTube called Connecting to Your Higher Self by Seth Michael, Spiritual Advisor. Cleansing chakras. Some people find that helpful. There's YouTube guided meditations on that. And sometimes people use these different types of stones. They put them on the chakras and they just kind of relax with that. Exercise, if you can, it helps release pent-up emotions and gets things flowing again, feeling better emotionally. Food, lifestyle. The word on the street is wheat can make us energetically heavy. They say to try to stick to earth foods, God foods, off trees, not just earth, but well, I guess that could be counted as earth because it does come from the tree that's planted in the earth. So God food, non-processed, they say. Take a break from social media is a very good idea at times. I know I feel much better when I'm not hanging out on Facebook very much, because there are things that I'll scroll by and it's just things I just don't want to see. It doesn't help my emotional state very well. So I'll just hide this post and then keep on going. But still, I saw some of it, so it's still imprinted in my brain. Here is what your soul wants you to remember. You know what? Let me rephrase that. Here's what I think your soul wants you to remember. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Everything you need is already within. Problems are temporary. When times get tough, you can change your perspective. Live in the present. And you are truly never alone. And remember love. When I was talking about love, it's an absolute spiritual love. It's an emotion created from energy, just like light's energy. Similar to light or sound, emotional energy has a frequency. And that, they say, is the highest frequency. And all of these techniques can get you to that vibration, can get you to that feeling more love and self-love that is important, so that we can give it to others. Because remember that we all are an infinite being of love. And remember this, if you can't solve it, survive it. And now you have some tools to fall back on to do just that. Here are some books, if you're interested in the empath topic, by Dr. Judith Orloff, MD, Emotional Freedom, The Empath Survival Guide. And this is Dr. Marsha Linehan, who also has YouTube videos and books out. She is the developer of the dialectical behavior therapy that saved my life. And if you're interested, if you go on my website, you'll learn more about psychic empath readings that I do. So if you're wanting extra help and more custom suggestions, we can definitely work on that. If you have any questions or discussions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Again, this is brought to you by the Vision Collective, and you can get a hold of us by visioncollective.com or on Facebook, Vision Collective LLC. And here's how to get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. SethMichaelAdvisor.com is my website. White Light Paranormal Insight.com is our website. And allaroundusfilm.com is our documentary. All right, we just want to thank you very much. Again, I'm very happy and grateful that you were here with me and experienced this little class. And that's all I have. That's all I have for right now.